Okay, greetings folks. So just a quick video. Alright, so I'm going to do a few more videos on comparing the theory in Buddhism to Hermetics. Now, the reason I want to do this is Buddhism or Dharma is a study of laws to generate release. Nibbana is the release of attachment, aversion, delusion. The following the Dharma is synchronizing one's mind with lawfulness, the Dharma, to release. So this path of release in Buddhism is very similar to Hermetics in the sense that Hermetics is a study of universal laws in service, eventually leading to release. So when we take the idea that Buddhism is simply the last door of Hermetics, it makes perfect sense. It synchronizes beautifully in that if a Hermeticist is at the end of their journey and want to attain Nibbana and spend an incarnation doing that, they would unpack that through Buddhist teachings. Now we've got to recognize that the Buddhism that is orthodox is not the Buddhism that the Buddha taught. There is no orthodoxy in the Buddha's Buddhism. When we look at what the Buddha taught, he didn't allow any image of the Buddha to be present. He purely taught methods of release, principles to understand the laws of release. So orthodox, when I refer to Buddhism, I'm not referring to orthodoxy. Buddhism can only be learnt through your spirit senses. It can't be understood or known through intellect. Now, you look at the intuitive curve of people who are naturally psychic, and you look at the academic curve of people, the top 1% who are naturally academic. These two curves where they meet, you have people who can understand Buddhism through transmission and can verbalize or intellectualize those transmissions and make sense of them. Now, all it can do is point at how to correctly practice Buddhism. It can't point out Buddhism itself, if that makes sense. When you mentally transfer to a frequency in Buddhism, the spirit can sense it, but the intellect cannot make sense of it. So this difference between how we interact with spiritual experiences and how we intellectualize spiritual experiences, the intellectual process of them is not true. The spiritual experience of them is more in resonance with truth. So spiritual experiences reveal the laws, reveal the nature of things, reveal how the dharmas work. And it's through spirit senses, and remember in Buddhism they don't even believe spirit exists because their definitions, it's just fabric of mind. How the fabric of mind is able to sense and have insight that the Dharma can be understood. When you're in resonance with the spirit sense, you're in resonance with the Dharma, or in resonance with one of the noble Sangha, the beings who have attained enlightenment already, not physical teachers. These beings who have already attained enlightenment already, when they give you a transmission, they bring your spirit into resonance with the tuning fork of the Dharma, and then your insight mind switches on to understand the Dharma. And this process of developing insight through resonance with the Dharmas, with the teachings, universal laws, is really the path that the Hermeticist has as an advantage over an academic. An academic will actually trap themselves because every time you read something, you analyze it based on your previous data, your attachments, and you reinforce your attachments. So you reduce your spirit sensitivity to understanding truth. So the more academic a person is, the less truth they're in resonance with, because their spirit senses are basically being blanketed and switched off. They're essentially being sedated. So this sedating of the spirit senses by reinforcing the matrices is a problem for academics. So you need to spend more time in a practicing state and less time in an academic state to comprehend truth. Now, the only time we want to be in the academic state is when we're looking at methods, contemplating experiences, developing a methodology to practice better. So that's all about how to practice better. And that is the study of the Dharma. It's not about history. It's not about knowing more about these different teachers. It's not about knowing more about traditions. It's essentially knowing more about how to practice more efficiently. So when you look at how to practice, it has nothing to do with the result of the practice. We're not defining the result. We're defining the method of activating spirit senses while in resonance with a Dharma or a teaching. Okay, so let's move forward. So we have the academic curve of people, and we have the psychic curve of the population. And when the top 1% of psychics overlap on the top 1% of academics, you have a person that can make sense of it. And the first thing that person's going to do is, when they start to make sense of it, they will go, how can we use the intellect to more clearly define the training method? And this is how you get people to get better results more quickly. You want people to develop faster. You want people to have results with less time. And this is where skillful means comes into it. Skillful means, at a basic level, is developing skills through correct information, through correct lifestyle, through correct environment, through correctly sharing the dharmas with other people, through correct friendship, through correct virtue, through correct precepts, through correct vows. This develops a skillful means in which a person can develop the dharmas and get results with Buddhism. And this is why the monastic process has so much value, because a person very easily, or I shouldn't say easily, but very clearly surrenders to the precepts, to the lifestyle, and just follows the lifestyle of a practicer. So you'll find that as your spirit senses develop, the desire to follow a monastic life and become a monk or a hermit increases. And that's a sign that you're doing something right. If you're doing something wrong, the desire falls away. The belief that you don't need precepts arises because you're on the wrong path. Precepts are the platform of Buddhist alchemy. A deity cannot transmit a high teaching to a resonance that's not astrally high. So they need a like tuning fork on the astral body for a like frequency in the non-dual realm to materialize astrally to come into form. So when we talk about non-duality, we have to be careful. When we're looking at light that's not in movement, it means it's simply standing still. That when the mind stands still, it enters into this non-dual state. So the mind that isn't moving is able to touch the fabric of non-duality and the fabric of mind, of essence of mind. So some people will ignorantly say, oh, that doesn't exist, non-dual light, because how can non-duality exist? Well, if it's singular, it still exists. It's at the flux point of coming into form, but it's at the transition between 0 and 2, which is 1. And there's that one point where the mind stands still and time stands still and space stands still, where we can touch the fabric of the dharmas and understand the universal laws from just a layer above and below where fabrication static begin. So at 2, static begins. At 0, there's purity of understanding. And it's that transition point, that non-returner level, where we can understand the Dharmas. Okay, I hope the audio is coming through on this video. Now, let's have a look at the next layer of the principles. Let's say a person's practicing breath meditation. They become one-pointed in their concentration. Their mind generates that one-pointedness, so the mind goes from a state of dual static to a singular state of one-pointedness. Time starts to release, they stand still. Space starts to release, everything opens as they stand still. So they're essentially doing the first transformation, releasing time, second transformation, releasing space, and third transformation, coming into union with the infinity quality. This simply means the Akasha is accumulating in the mind. They experience the Akasha accumulating as equanimity. As they experience equanimity, the insight mind starts to activate. Remember, samadhi and equanimity accompany each other. So when one is entering into concentrated samadhi, equanimity arises. Equanimity is arising because the accumulation of Akasha as a reflection of the concentrated mind. So this basic law of one making the mind stand still in concentration, the way Akasha accumulates is all static and allows equanimity to arise. This is a fabric of insight. This allows the insight mind to awaken. It allows the spirit senses to function. Now, many Buddhists will say, clairvoyance is an attachment. Clairsentience is attachment. Clairaudience is an attachment. No, it's a signpost that you're doing something right. Now, the sixth gate of the mind itself, when the insight mind awakens, that's what most people go, that's the signpost we're looking for. We're understanding the Dharmas and getting insight into understanding how to practice and how to teach and how to share the Dharmas correctly and so forth. So this idea that all the other signposts are attachments and only the insight mind or mind awakening is correct, well, that's incorrect. If your concentration is through the mind gate itself, awareness paying attention to something within the awareness, the insight mind will awaken. But if your mind is paying attention to the sensation of life force coming out in and out of the body, or to the breath itself, well, that's sensation. So the clairsentience is going to be first to awaken before the insight. So clairsentience begins to awaken. You feel more. As you feel more, you stabilize more. As you stabilize more, you achieve samadhi more quickly through feeling sensations. And as you achieve samadhi, equanimity arises due to the accumulation of Akasha, and the insight mind begins to awaken through clairsentience. So it uses that door. And the feeling door is the first door to open in most people because it's the fastest door. The group consciousness says you're not allowed to see. Clairvoyance is not good. You're not allowed to hear, but you're allowed to have gut instincts. So because we are allowed to have gut instincts, that aspect of our spiritual nature is less burdened, we have less resistance. We can more easily achieve more. And because we can do this, due to that lower resistance levels, the insight mind will awaken through the clairsentient gate first in most people. They simply feel and translate feelings into information more easily than translating what they see and hear into insight. So the 5 gates, whichever one of the 5 gates you're using as a meditation concentration door, will activate insight as the 6th gate, as the mind gate. Now, pick the low-hanging fruit here. Which is easiest for you? And which is easiest is often reflected in what is weakest. So let's say you see a beautiful woman walking down the street, and that beauty captures you through the visual gate. Well, there's a strong chance that because it's also weak, you can concentrate more firmly through the opposite polarity of the eye consciousness through the visual gate. So test taking a visual object and concentrating on it and see how well you can hold that concentration. You'll find that if you're weak there due to things that break, you're also very strong there due to things that you can hold. So investigate that. The next way of detecting your low-hanging fruit is by comfort. And let's say you have you're burning a stick of incense and it's very comfortable to smell. Pay attention to that comfort of that smell and make that your meditation object because it is comfortable. The mind will settle more quickly and the static will neutralize. You enter into concentration and you'll reach that one-pointed place more quickly than concentrating on something that is uncomfortable. So let's say a lot of people use their posture and they spend years trying to move through pain to master their posture as part of the meditation. They're not going to get into a one-stated point of concentration through concentrating on posture very quickly because it's not comfortable. So the next way of looking at low-hanging fruit is looking for comfortable meditation objects, comfortable methods, and then utilize them. From there, you can use things that expand space naturally. So let's say you had a meditative experience where you experienced joy and your consciousness expanded. And because of that expanded state of consciousness, your mental body was very, very open and it's closer. And your mental body is closer to stimulating those layers of concentration. So as you look at, okay, you need to release time and when you develop concentration, you got to release space when you develop concentration. If you're doing something that naturally does either of those, like you're naturally releasing space through doing something that gives you joy, when you make that joy a meditation object, you very quickly realize that you can achieve something higher in concentration more quickly because of the nature of that meditation object and your relationship to it. So we have things that are comfortable and we have things that expand the mental body through different sensations of joy. Let's say you have a peak experience in meditation and you experience a bliss. Now that bliss, you go to remembering the bliss and attach that as your meditation object for your meditation. And that bliss quality, the way it releases space, the way it opens you up, the way it generates a state of expanded consciousness, that becomes a platform for mastering concentration. So be very sensitive to anything that allows you to release time and release space naturally and look at them as meditation objects for generating the one-pointed mind. And one-pointed mind accumulates akasha. Accumulated akasha dissolves static. As soon as static dissolves, you start touching equanimity and then make equanimity a meditation object and go from there to awaken the insight mind. They accompany each other. So this may help those of you who are blocked or confined to orthodoxy and training orthodox methods in a linear progression that might be slowing you down. Don't be afraid to use meditation objects that are considered wrong view or meditation objects that are not correct according to orthodoxy, but they simply work, and then you attach the ability that they give you to more orthodox or more traditionally correct meditation objects to develop the results. The next accelerator for Buddhism is environment. Now, let's say you're doing breath meditation. Breath meditation naturally concentrates life force, because the breath regulates and transforms life force. And as you go through this process of cultivating and developing your breath and life force, being in an environment which your life force is far greater and more powerful than you, like a big forest, powerful place in nature, a vortex of some type, you'll notice that life force will hold your mind on the life force. All you have to do is surrender to your meditation object, and it contains your mind, it expands your mind. So you're looking at this principle of releasing mental space through having a life force object that's far greater than the life force of your body. It will contain and control your mind to lead you to a better place. The reason why the Buddha attained enlightenment under the Buddha tree was the tree helped. The life force of the tree and the breath meditation technique the Buddha was using was easy under the life force of a powerful tree. It would be more difficult to be in resonance with life force in your concrete condo. So understanding this law allows you to generate amazing skills in a much shorter period of time by looking at locality. Now, if let's say you're looking at Akasha as your meditation object, you have to go to a place where there's accumulated Akasha. There's vortexes that open up the matrices and allow the mind to access Akasha. There's meditation groups that are very well versed in accumulating Akasha, and then when you crack open the matrices and let the Akasha seep through, mind can touch it, you defabricate and you have Akasha experiences. Akasha is the release of time and space, and the limited Akasha happens on vortexes and in places of power. This limited Akasha, when you get access to it, accelerates your ability to understand the nature of Akasha and how to access unlimited Akasha. So depending on what your meditation practice is, what you're working on, what direction you want to go in your spiritual work, you'll find that by looking at locality, people, environment, and so forth, you can get the breakthroughs you need to get the rapid results to train on your own. Remember, the first few years of practice should be with a teacher, seeking guidance, with groups, with people that have already achieved what you're looking to achieve, until you go out and spend more time on your own and take ownership of those skills. It takes a good solid decade to lay a foundation. It takes a good 4 years to be at a level in which you can say, I can train alone and get benefit from it. So take advantage of the people who have been there before you and utilize their knowledge, utilize their skills, utilize their energy to get your foundation so you can practice on your own. Okay, so I hope this helps with getting a grasp on some of the correlations between Buddhism and Hermetics. And I do recommend reading the Kybalion, meditating on each of the Hermetic principles listed in Kybalion. And you'll find that once you've gotten through the Kybalion and laid a really solid foundation with it, then you're going to go, there's a huge potential for growth in all these other dharmas and teachings. All right, so closing off, read the Hermetics text, map it on the wall, look at the book Wings to Awakening. I can't remember the name of the author, but if you Google Wings to Awakening, there's a PDF there. Map that onto the wall, overlay, connect all the fundamental ideas, map out the Kybalion, overlay those fundamental ideas, take those 3 books, fuse them together as one, and you'll notice a huge potential for transformation. As you do that, stay in an open state, open the matrices, stay in the open contemplative insight learning mind. Don't activate the intellect and analyze. Keep open, receptive to all potentialities. And as you do that, the dharmas take care of themselves and begin awakening within the consciousness. Remember that the dharmas are your birthright. They're the fabric of what makes your mind operate, function. They're the essence of who you are. You really want to be tuning into them. Okay, I'm almost back at my hotel, so I'll leave everyone there. Stay true to your path and see you on the next video.